A woman with bandages over both eyes walked into a hospital room yesterday to check on an old friend. He teased her. She stuck her tongue out at him. They held hands for about 4 seconds. Her husband called that a betrayal. And I've been watching this man for most of my life. I've defended him at times I probably shouldn't have. I sat there on my couch and I laughed at him. And then, honestly, I got sad because I think I finally see what's happening to Victor Newman, and I'm fairly sure he doesn't. Let me lay the board out, because this one only lands if you know where everybody's standing. Patty Williams is in a cell. She stabbed Jack. She got a near-lethal dose of digitalis into Diane. Jack's expected to fully recover, and Patty's being held without bail. And Patty is in Genoa City because Victor brought her here. I want to be clear that I'm not reaching for that. The show says it out loud. It's the whole reason Kyle spent the last episode vowing revenge on him. Nikki's coming off surgery to remove a mass that was pressing on her optic nerve. And here's a detail I keep seeing people get sideways, so let me sit on it a second. Nikki lost her sight before anyone operated. The mass took it. Whether it comes back, nobody knows yet. Not her doctors, not her family, not us. Then there's Newman Media, which hasn't belonged to the Newmans in months. Phyllis stole it. Phyllis handed it to Billy. Billy folded it into Abbott Communications. Sally rebranded the whole thing Spectra Charles and made Audra her co-CEO. Victor wants it back. Adam and Chelsea think that's a disaster waiting to happen, and they're about to walk into the ranch and tell him so. Everything in this hour grows out of those 3 things. Let's talk about the word, betrayal. He uses it before he even knows what he's angry about. He's at the piano, remembering the day he showed Nikki the rebuilt house. A call comes in from one of his men. Patty's locked up, Jack will pull through, and oh, by the way, your family's walking into that hospital right now. Then Adam and Chelsea come through the door, and he mutters about another betrayal. He won't tell them what he means. He just lets it hang there. So I sat there trying to work out what he thinks she's done. Jack Abbott is Nikki's oldest friend in the world. He's her ex-husband. He's the father of Victor's former stepson. And he's lying in that bed because of a woman Victor personally brought to town. Victor has lived beside that friendship for 40 years. Nikki lived beside Ashley for just as long, and she managed it without a tantrum. It doesn't hold together, and I've stopped expecting it to. Because here's what I've noticed watching him lately, and it took me a while to admit it. He's weather now. Something happens, he gets loud, everybody in the room goes still until it blows through, and then they get on with their day. Count the people in that hospital who are frightened of him. Nikki's playful. Jack's teasing. Kyle's openly contemptuous. He's not even bothering to hide it anymore. Victoria's crying in a waiting room, and it's got nothing to do with fear. Nobody. Not one person. And I remember being frightened of him. That's the part that gets me. There was a stretch of years where I'd hear that voice and my stomach would drop with everybody else's. A man who has to announce out loud that he's been betrayed is a man nobody's afraid of betraying anymore. He's telling on himself, and he can't hear it. Now, I'm going to say something that surprised me. On Newman Media, he's got a point. The company was stolen. Phyllis took it. Nobody's arguing that. Sally says so herself. But watch how careful Chelsea is in that room. She never says Sally earned it. She says Sally had nothing to do with what Kane and Phyllis and Billy did. Nobody running Spectra Charles today committed the theft. That company got absorbed in the wreckage after the fact. And that's a genuinely good question. How many hands does stolen property have to pass through before it stops being stolen? I don't have a clean answer. I've gone back and forth on it all week. Victor's answer is forever. It's his forever. So Adam makes his pitch. Leave Sally alone, build something new, give us 6 months, we'll come back with real figures and projections. He even hands Victor his revenge gift wrapped. Kane just offered Billy a job at Chancellor, so sit back and let Billy destroy Kane for you. It's a good pitch. It's a generous pitch. It hands him everything he claims he wants. And that's precisely why he turns it down. He tells them he's coming for Sally and for Audra. Then he accuses his own son and Chelsea of objecting only because they feel guilty about how they got together, which is such a small, mean thing to reach for. And then he bellows that he'll get back what was taken from him, come hell or high water. Sit with what just happened. Adam offered his father a future, and Victor heard an insult. He wants the fight. The company's just the excuse to have one. And if you take the fight away from him, he'll go find another. So Adam and Chelsea leave that ranch and go straight to Crimson Lights to work out how to protect Sally from Victor without him. That's one. And nobody made a speech about it. Okay, the hospital. This is the scene, and I've watched it 3 times now. Victoria walks her mother in. Jack sees the eye patches and his face falls. And then he covers it the way Jack does and teases her about trying to outdo him. She sticks her tongue out. It's lovely. It's the warmest 60 seconds this show has produced in months. Then Victoria steps out for coffee and the whole thing opens up. Jack coaxes it out of her, and Nikki admits she's frightened. She tells him about the diagnosis. She gives Victor credit. She says he helped, and she means it. And then she gets agitated because Victor is the reason Patty was in this town at all. And she says a thing I don't think I've heard her say in 40 years. She isn't sure she can forgive him this time. Jack tells her Victor didn't win, and Nikki says, but does he know what he's lost? I put my tea down. That's the whole hour, right there in the middle of it, out of the mouth of a woman who can't see. Meanwhile, Victoria's crying in the waiting room when Kyle finds her. And I need you to hear this part properly, because I've already seen people online get it backwards. Victoria does not defend her father. Kyle presses her and she admits it. He handled it badly. She says she wishes she could control what he does when he hurts people, and she can't. Then Kyle says the thing we've all been yelling at our televisions about for months. Nobody in this family ever holds Victor accountable. When does somebody finally say enough? And Victoria, in tears, looks through that doorway at her mother sitting with Jack. And she says, maybe somebody already has. I got a bit emotional there, I'll be honest with you. A woman who spent her entire life covering for that man, quietly admitting she's watching somebody else do the things she's never been able to do. That's 2 and 3. Let me pull back for a second, because there's something sitting underneath all of this. On June 26th, TV Insider broke the news that Josh Griffith is leaving as head writer. Reporting says it was his own call. He's had the job since 2019. As I'm recording this, CBS hasn't named a replacement, and he's expected out later this year. And back in December, previewing this exact year, he told TV Insider, "We have some fun surprises up our sleeve for 2026. Now, I've seen a lot of people celebrating like Monday's episode is going to feel different. It won't. Soaps are written months ahead. What we're watching now is still his, and whatever a new writer does with Victor is a fall conversation at the earliest. I'd make peace with that. And it's worth holding on to when you see the pile-on about the eye patches. And there is a pile-on. Viewers are arguing the bandages make no medical sense for a mass on the optic nerve. That's what people are saying. I can't settle it from my couch, and I won't pretend I can. But it tells you exactly how much trust is left in the tank, which is why I want to be fair about July 15th. Because this episode is doing something quite precise. Look at how they end it. This structure is not an accident. Kyle goes to the jail. He tells Patty she's going to give him the ammunition to take Victor down. The Abbott heir, sitting across from the woman who nearly killed both his parents, cutting a deal. That's how far outside this family accountability has had to travel to find someone willing to carry it. And then the ranch. Nikki and Victoria arrive as Adam and Chelsea are leaving. And Adam, who was blind himself once, quietly offers Nikki his help. Small moment, loveliest thing he's done in a year. Nikki tells Victor the bandages come off tomorrow. No verdict yet on whether she'll see. And his answer to his blind wife, who might never see his face again, he announces that he knows she went to see Jack. He bellows. He storms out of the room. He opened this episode at that piano, remembering the house he rebuilt for her. He ended it walking out of it while she stood there in bandages. Nobody took a thing from Victor Newman yesterday. He walked out on his own 2 feet. So, betrayal. He reached for that word because it's the last one he owns that still makes people flinch. And it landed on nobody. Not Nikki, not Kyle, not Adam, not even for one quiet second in a waiting room, Victoria. Nikki asked whether he knows what he's lost. So that's my question for you, and I want a straight answer in the comments. Does he? Yes or no? And tell me the exact moment you think it finally reaches him. When those bandages come off, or whenever Patty opens her mouth to Kyle. I read every single one of these. I always do. And if you want the full chain of custody on Newman Media, Phyllis to Billy to Sally, every hand it touched, I've got that one coming next.